us from today. Welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner. Woohoo! Episode 52. Super excited about today's episode. As I always say in all the other videos, but before we jump into anything, I'd like to go ahead and let you all know that if you are a user of IrisVision, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you need anything, you can always call into the customer support line. We have a really amazing team of customer support representatives ready to help with anything you need. Okay. If you are not a user of IrisVision, but you're curious about it, you want to know more about it, definitely check out our website at irisvision.com. Or you could call in and speak to one of our awesome sales reps. They're always available to answer questions. Again, maybe you don't know if you're a good fit for IrisVision, or maybe you know somebody who might be a good fit for IrisVision. Call in and a sales rep would be more than happy to answer any questions for you. So again, that's irisvision.com. And the phone number to IrisVision is 855-207-6665. Once you call that number, you'll have two options, one for sales, two for support. So definitely call in if you have any questions, whether you're a current user or you're just someone who's looking into it. Today's episode is going to be really cool. It's a client spotlight with one of my favorite clients, Jessi
Oh,
Evans. Hi, Jessi.
hi.
How are you today?
I'm great. I hope y'all are ready for a fun time.
Definitely. I think we have a couple of guest stars here, huh?
You absolutely do. You'll probably hear dinosaurs and Bigfoot, and that will be my two kids.
Awesome. So this is really cool, guys. Jessi has Stargardt's disease. She's a young mom. Jessi, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I am a young mom. I'm 34 years old, and I have two kids, a 6-year-old who's sitting over here warming up to possibly being on the camera. His name's Jensen, and a 3-year-old whose footsteps you hear right now. We live out in Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm a stay-at-home parent because I do not drive.
Mm.
So we just hang out in the woods and play and have fun and enjoy all sorts of different activities.
Awesome. Oh, one thing, guys, I forgot to mention earlier is if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Ask questions. We're going to go ahead and answer as many questions as we can towards the end of the episode. So do put in your questions. Sorry about that, Jessi. I was like, I better mention that real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're here to help. We're here to inspire, and Jessi's story is very inspirational. So, when did you get diagnosed with Stargardt's, Jessi?
I have an interesting story where I think you asked when did I start seeing effects of Stargardt's?
Yes,
I'm sorry, my child is running back and forth.
that's
I seen the effects of Stargardt's at 8 years old. I was in about third or fourth grade, and I just noticed not being able to see the board well. But I didn't get diagnosed until I was 19 due to whatever reason that God had there. There were doctors with misdiagnoses, and also saw several psychologists and psychiatrists. They thought it was more of a psychiatric diagnosis. There was a lot of different things, a whole big story that I can't fit into one nutshell. So, but I started seeing the effects at 8 years old.
and you actually drove, right?
Say that one more time.
Did you actually have a driver's license?
I did drive, scarily enough. My visual acuity has always had me at about legally blind,
Okay.
and I think 2180. And I got a driver's license at 18, and I drove for 7 years until I got pregnant with my first son, who's here behind me right now, Jensen. I had the bioptic lens, and that got me seeing about 20/60. And I assume everybody in here knows what this number means, but I can explain it if I need to.
Go ahead and explain it because maybe not everyone knows what that is.
So 20/20 is perfect vision. I see as of right now in one eye 2,500 and 2,300 out of the other eye. which means what somebody with 20/20 could see from 500 feet away or 300 feet away, I would need to be 20 feet away. That's kind of what that means. So when I got my license, I was testing about 2180, 2200, which is legally blind. When I look through the little bioptic lens and I make it wiggle, it doesn't wiggle. But when I looked at that, when I had it, it got me seeing 2060 through that little spot. So that qualified me to drive in the state of Georgia. And I did that. And when I was pregnant with Jensen and got into an accident, I couldn't see the brake lights and there was no other explanation but that's when I stopped driving. I went ahead and took my license from myself. But I think as of right now, I wouldn't qualify anyway. So it kind of was a precursor for what was to be.
Gotcha. Wow. I know that a lot of people that have had Stargardts from a young age, we typically don't drive, so that's a pretty cool story. I do know a handful of people who did drive though. So
conversations with the doctor, and the doctor assured her I would be okay, but I just wasn't comfortable anymore.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you have a lot of lives to take care of now, right? Not just your own. So,
Right.
so tell us about how IrisVision kind of came into your life. What led up to actually purchasing the device? Did you hear from it about it from a friend, or did you hear about it from social media?
If I remember correctly, I just saw it within my own research and found the device called macular degeneration glasses through my own research. There's no treatments for Stargardt's disease, so when you start to look up those sorts of things, the gadgets are what popped up. So if I remember correctly, that's where I came to know about Iris, and I applied for a consult with a coach, and 6 months later I called and said I'm ready to purchase one. So that's kind of where this journey has taken me.
Awesome. And how was it using your IrisVision for the first time? And especially if I remember correctly, it was around the holiday season, right?
You are correct. So I got it right before Christmas, which was perfect timing for all the Christmas plays and things. But the first time I ever put it on was in my home. I was sitting right where I am right now. And my oldest son, Jensen, went to the other side of the room, and I had my mom and my sister on FaceTime. And when I put him on and I saw him clearly from across the house, which is foreign, they had a cry fit. I just was excited and happy, and Jensen was just ready to go on and play with Legos. So it was a whole big ball of emotions. But there's been several times where it all sank in and I was able to look at a far distance and find my kid. And tears have definitely found their way.
Yes, I definitely remember that when I first saw my daughter's face too. It's an amazing feeling, isn't it? To actually be able to see them real time.
It is incredible. And usually I would just use my phone and zoom in and just follow them along. And I was like, well, I don't really need another device that's just going to do the same thing. It is totally different. It is life changing what the device has done for me. Absolutely clear image. I can see every little thing on his face, if, within a certain range. And it's incredible. Really is.
How have you used it since? In what other situations, like have you used it for
Yes.
school events and sporting events or entertainment?
You name it, yes. I've used it for sporting events. He did his first run. My husband's gotten back into running, and they did a 5K for the 4th of July. So my son did the fun run, and I was actually able to see him cross the finish line, which was really cool. Like I said, Christmas plays, and there was one instance in particular, was a day at his school, water day, the fire truck came, and I was on one end of the blacktop, he was on the other end, and I said, go on and run and see when I can find you, and wait, see if I can see you. Turn around and wave at me, and he ran, and he turned around and he waved at me. I didn't just know it was a kid wearing the color I put him in. I could see it was Jensen, and when he did that, I cried with my friend who was standing beside me, and it was pretty cool. I've used it at the park just to keep up with my kids, something I never thought I'd be able to do. I've always had to rely on somebody else. So I've been able to use it for, it, to me, it helps keep us safe. Used it at church, and to be able to see the pastor and the people singing and all the things going on. So, and I've used the movies.
The movies. How was that? Yeah. How was your experience at the movies?
Yeah, I used it at the movies this weekend.
Oh, cool. Did you like it?
Did. Yeah, I didn't realize how much I was missing.
Right?
We watched Despicable Me 4, and I know what Gru looks like. It's amazing. I changed.
Yes, it's always fun to be able to actually watch the movie. That was one of my things too. Like I hated like always nudging my neighbor. Why is everyone laughing right now? What just happened? Now I could see it. So it's like so cool, right?
Yes, and I can't wait to use it. I haven't been able to use it for one of my passions, theater. I like to see musicals, and I like to find a good show and be able to use it for that, because that's going to be pretty cool to not have to bug everybody beside me.
Yes. Um, and how do your kids feel about it? And your
You like,
husband, because it's not just impactful to you as the user, but it also has an impact on your family, right? Your husband, your mom, your siblings, your kids.
oh, absolutely. Well, for one, like we were talking about, they're not as annoyed as much as me going, "Hey, what's going on? Where's my kids? What's happening?" So that's nice. I'm sure they would say. But more on a serious note, that it's definitely, my mom has been with me every step of the way of this journey from childhood to now, and for her to be able to witness me being able to see my kids the way that I have has really brought joy to her heart. Because, like I said, there's no cure for the disease, and this is some way she can help me help her child and be able to have me experience life the way she kind of does. And then my kids, boys, do y'all like my goggles? No. Oh, my 3-year-old doesn't like it so much.
Your 6-year-old's like, yes. 3-year-old's like, no, whatever, mom.
Get away with everything. I can actually like peek in on them a little bit.
Ah.
But I'd say that it's kind of cool. You changed my mind? You changed your mind? Oh, I'm sure they appreciate that too.
Yes.
And so I would say it's nice to not have as bad of a helicopter mom, because on a normal day without these, I'm having to stay on top of them. Where are you? What are you doing? Where are you? Whereas now I can kind of lay back and watch. At that same water day I was talking about with Jensen and the fire truck, Jackson was able to go out and play, and I could keep up with where he was. So it helps me feel safer, and they're able to have fun without their mom right behind them.
Right. And your
Yeah.
husband, I'm sure, has seen quite a difference too with your independence, right?
Absolutely. And I think for him, it's mainly just me being able to experience life a little differently. It just brings him a lot of joy.
That's awesome. That is very cool.
Mhm.
So, what kind of advice would you have for someone who maybe is like a younger parent? They're considering getting something like this, like IrisVision. What would your advice be to someone?
Definitely take the first step and have the consult, talk with somebody. And if you do take the step and purchase it, you won't regret it. I don't see how anybody could regret being able to see a little clearer. So that would be my advice though first, because I'm a little bit gun shy on some things, apprehensive to try new things. And so I just did that consultation. I wanted to hear what it was about, and I was sold after that. So take that first step and then see where it goes from there, but you won't regret it.
Awesome.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great because, sometimes people aren't sure. They're iffy about it. Does it actually work or is it just another thing? You know what I mean? But it's not. Like IrisVision is absolutely a game changer for most people who have some sort of sight loss. Of course, you have to have vision for the device to work for you. So if you're totally blind or you just see shadows or something like that, unfortunately, it's not going to be a good fit. But if you have partial sight and you are able to see either peripherally or centrally, depending on what your eye condition is, it can make a difference in your life. It really can. It doesn't work for everybody, right? It doesn't work for everybody, but you'll never know unless you try it, right?
Yeah, and it seems like y'all have a really good policy for those situations where somebody may not be happy. So it's definitely worth a shot.
Absolutely.
You got now, if you've got it, use it to the fullest potential.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because there's so many things that you can do with IrisVision that people don't really realize. like you said, watching your children at the park, keeping tabs on them. I remember when my girls were younger and I first got my IrisVision, I couldn't believe that I could just sit back at the bench and just keep an eye on my little ones just running around the playground, having fun.
Right.
And now they're 13 and 17. So
Right.
they're not running around the playground as much.
Waving
But
as drive away. I guess.
but
Absolutely. The reason I got mine was to see my kids' faces, and when they're in children's choir, I'm able to put it on and see either the smile on their face or the nerve on their face. It's still something I never thought could happen so clearly. I see it so clearly.
that's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Jessi. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a Q&A section of this show coming up here. I'm going to first talk about the remote control. But if there's anything else you want to add, Jessi, or if Jackson wants to say hi to the world,
Sure. Do y'all want to say hello? You want to say hello to Miss Myrna in the world? Okay. They're good.
They're good. Okay. So we're going to talk about a pro tip, Jessi. I think you and I could really chat about this because you just received your upgraded remote, right? Again, Jessi did get her device really early on back in December. So at that time we had a different remote, and she just received her updated remote, which how do you like it so far, Jessi?
I really like it. I really do. I love the blue color, the cover. I would have never thought of that, to be able to find something a little better, but it's pretty cool.
Right. The blue cover for the remote is not only intended to kind of help you keep tabs of it, but it also has a wristband on it. So you can kind of just wear it over your wrist and not lose it. That's really helpful, especially because if it didn't have the sleeve, it is a black remote with, and I don't know about you, but a lot of my furniture is dark. So
Yes.
without the sleeve, it kind of disappears on me. But with the sleeve, it has a nice pop to it because it has that nice blue, light blue color. But we do have a couple of buttons that are blacked out on the remote, and that's only because those buttons don't really have a function. So it really is just your voice control button up here at the very top of the remote. When you place it across the top, the device will beep, and then you know that you have the opportunity to talk. In the front here, you have the joystick. So clicking it side to side or left to right will adjust the magnification. Right below that, you have your power button. Okay. And when you press your power button, you just hold it until the little light shows up and let it go. People try to press it and press it and press it over and over and over again. And that's actually turning it on and off and on and off and on and off. So it takes forever to connect. But it does take a few seconds to actually connect to your device. So be patient with that. And then you have the buttons A, X, and B, which each do a specific function. A opens your menu and it selects. X navigates you from mode to mode. And B just kind of backs you out of a scale or a menu or something like that. So that's today's pro tip with the remote. Do you have anything to add, Jessi?
Well, I was just thinking, I like the order of the buttons. It's easy to memorize in case you can't see those. A, B, X, and the power, like you can't quite make it out. It's easy to memorize, like, when I drove, I can equate it to that. You can feel your radio and figure out where the buttons are for each station. I like this because they're all in a pattern. Power is first, and then you have your A, B, X, Y. Does that make sense? You can kind of feel where if you can't see it. And I like the joystick over the flat button that was in the previous remote, because that's more control if you can't see what's happening, maybe on your iris, if you have it turned down, but you still want to know if you're magnifying it or changing the field of view. That gives you a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the joystick, I think, is a little more tactile too. So
Yeah.
that's always nice as well. Um, so that closes up the pro tips. So we're ready to open up for questions and answers. So if we have any questions right now, hopefully, uh, hopefully you do. Please, guys, feel free to ask questions. We like questions. We want to be able to help you out. If we don't have the answer, trust me, we'll find it and get back with you. So, do we have any questions? Maud, any questions in the chat box?
Not yet. I think we can call it a day.
Okay, very good. All
Easy
right,
enough.
guys. Yeah, so definitely tune into our next episode. It's going to be a great one. In the meantime, Jessi, thank you so much again for joining us. It was great to hear your story. It was awesome to have your kiddos in the background. I love it. Very
Oh,
cool. Well,
it was here. It was an honor to be here, and thank you for having me for sure.
you're welcome, and we will definitely keep up with your journey.
Bam.
All right. Thanks, guys. And bye.
Bye.